How are you doing so far?
So Manny, we're going to start at 3:30. We do have a quorum, so I'll come back to that as part of the original agenda. Okay. All right, folks, it is 3:30. Good afternoon, and I'd like to call the Soltrans Board meeting to order. Madam Clerk, will you please confirm that we have a quorum?
Yes, we do have a quorum.
Thank you. I will pause for a moment here before we recess into our scheduled closed session, as it is my understanding that staff wishes to request an amendment to the agenda regarding tonight's schedule. Staff, will you please present that amendment?
Yes, thank you, Chair Scott. We do wish to amend the agenda to move the closed session to be held at the end of the agenda instead of at the beginning of today's meeting.
Thank you. Hearing that request, I move the approval of the agenda.
I second it.
Please call the roll.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
All right.
Motion passes unanimously.
So we will continue on and start with the pledge. Please join me in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. Do we have any statements of conflict from any board members? Seeing none, we're going to move to item number 5, which is the opportunity for public comment. This is the opportunity for public comment on any matter not on the agenda, but within the subject matter jurisdiction of the Soltrans Board. Soltrans' board welcomes public comment on matters within our jurisdiction and authority, but strongly denounces hate speech, obscenity, and disruptive behavior in meetings. Disruptive individuals will be admonished and removed from the meeting pursuant to Government Code Section 54957.95. We ask for members of the public to ensure their remarks are within the jurisdiction of this board and to refrain from making hateful or obscene comments. Manny, would you please start our sign-up clock for public comment? Madam Clerk, will you read the following public comment notice?
Thank you, Chair Scott. Members of the public wishing to speak may sign up at the kiosk in the back of the council chamber, and public attending by Zoom may click the raise hand icon. Those dialing in by phone may press *9. At the end of our 2-minute sign-up period, the in-person speakers will be called, followed by those wishing to comment on Zoom or phone. While this is the opportunity for public comment on items not on the agenda, there will also be an opportunity to comment on any item that is on the agenda at the time that those items are heard.
Thank you. Watching the clock.
Through the chair, as of now, we currently do not have any members of the public signed up for this item on the agenda.
All right. Well, Manny, since we don't appear to have any persons wishing to speak under general comment, we will move on to item number 6, which is the Executive Director's Report. Ms. Cranda?
Thank you, Chair. Next slide, please. So as you can see, youth ridership continues to grow. We have a growth of 26% over last year at this time. So it's doing amazingly well, and we're very proud of it. Next slide. Senior health fairs. Well, we continue to work at keeping our seniors moving and sharing their options for transit. We talked to about 30 seniors at the October 23rd event about senior transit options, both fixed route and paratransit, and taught a few how to use the transit app. And today, Manny was in Benicia and talked to about 50 seniors there. Next slide. Our Treat Yourself resource fair was a success despite the rain. We had 21 vendor partners, 200 hot meals were handed out by Mensa Christi, and staff then handed out donated food, which included 50 burritos from Jalisco, 6 pizzas from Bambino's, 365 shelf-stable food bags made with the collected donations. 5,600 was raised from community partners like the Vallejo Rotary, Vallejo Lions, Redwood Eye Center, TransDev, and staff and anonymous community members. Our transit contractor, TransDev, donated 250 shelf-stable food bags as well. Next slide. We celebrated our monthly second Friday last Friday at the Transit Center. TransDev made a huge impact by giving out shelf-stable food bags to those who attended. We gave out about 60 bags, and we still have about 60 to go that will go out on December 2nd, Friday's event. Next slide. We're gearing up for the Benicia tree lighting by providing free routes, Route 15 and 17. We'll pick up citizens to bring them down so they don't have to worry about parking. So if you could help us spread the word, we would appreciate it. Next slide. The Mad Hatter Parade is coming. A lot of our services are going to be detoured, so you'll find the information on our website. And next slide. And this is just a holiday service hour reminder that we have reduced hours for the holiday, and information again can be found at soltrans.org. And that concludes my report.
Question, Terry?
Thank you. Yeah, let me make one quick statement. Thank you, Mayor. I'd just like to say how proud I am to be part of this organization, and all of the partners, including TransDev and Bambino's, and all of those folks that came together to help people truly in need. And, we're up here trying to transact regular business, but to know that this organization behind us is working so well and so efficiently and so importantly filling the needs of the community. I really thank you and the staff for that.
Thank you.
And then Mayor Young?
Beth, do you have a link or some kind of social media link that I can post for the tree lighting? You know, the routes, the schedule?
Yes, we will get that to
good
you.
stuff.
I can send it to everybody if you'd like.
Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to say, this is so exciting. People are still talking about the event that you had on November 5th. The needs that are being met, but once again, the discreetness of it. You know what I mean? Just be able to get what they need and keep it moving, and then be greeted with so much respect. So I want to thank all the people involved, the partner, TransDev. Thank you for being there, being present. A lot of people didn't know who you were. Now they do. So I just want to say thank you to everybody, because especially during the government shutdown, we had a lot of people in fear, and just sometimes people you may not even realize, So I just want to just say kudos to you all. Thank you again. Thank you.
Manny, do we have any public comment on this?
No public comment on this item at this time.
All righty. Move on to Item number 7, we have 7A, which is the recognition for excellence in incident and emergency response. I would like to invite Charles Williams to the podium. This is the best part of the job, where we get to recognize people who do outstanding work outside, above and beyond the call of what their job is. And so tonight I am providing a proclamation, Solano County Transit, recognizing Charles Williams for excellence in incident and emergency response. Whereas Charles Williams has distinguished himself as one of the most dependable, professional, and compassionate bus operators in just over 6 months with TransDev, and whereas numerous passengers have taken the time to submit compliments about Charles in writing, highlighting his safe driving, courteous attitude, polite demeanor, and respectful interactions with riders, whereas Charles demonstrates honesty and integrity, including immediately contacting a passenger who lost her wallet containing $500 on the bus and making arrangements to safely return the wallet. And in another instance, he went above and beyond to return a lost cell phone to its owner, showing genuine care and responsibility for his passengers' belongings. And whereas Charles acted heroically during a serious incident when a passenger attempted to commit suicide at the back of the bus, and thanks to his attentiveness, calm response, and commitment to passenger safety, Charles was able to intervene and prevent a tragedy, thereby embodying the organization's core value of safety first. And whereas Charles's professionalism, compassion, and dedication make him an outstanding example of what it means to serve our community in care and excellence. Therefore, it is proclaimed on this 20th day, November 2025, by the Governing Board of Solano County Transit, Soltrans, for this commitment to excellence and outstanding service to the citizens of Solano County, that Charles Williams be formally recognized for his excellence in incident and emergency response. Congratulations. Thank you. Would you like to say something? No? Please, take a moment.
I really don't know what to say. I'm just thankful to be a part of TransDev. I appreciate, just thankful for Mr. Ray and Steven giving me a shot to be a part of a great team. I'm just thankful to be here. I'm humbled to be here. I appreciate you guys.
Thank you. And this is what makes Soltrans so special, people like Charles. So thank you again.
Appreciate it.
Pleasure. Our mystery guest tonight is Mayor Source. Thank you for joining us. And we have, actually, before we move on to item 8, which would be the consent calendar, I just would like to make a public acknowledgement of the 2 birthdays that we have on the board. We have Mayor Young and Mayor Source.
Happy birthday.
We'll sing to you later. Manny will confirm whether do we have any public comment or anyone who would like to make a comment now before we move to the consent calendar?
None at this time.
All right, recognizing that as a no. Consent calendar, the next item on is the consent calendar. Items on the consent calendar are considered routine and will be adopted in one motion unless a request for removal or explanation is received from a board member. Items removed from the consent calendar shall be considered immediately following the adoption of the consent calendar. Do we have any persons wishing to comment on the consent items?
None
We
at
don't
this
need to
time,
set the
Mr. Chair.
timer. Thank you. Board request to remove any items for discussion.
I do, Chair. I would like to pull item 8D.
8C is in Charles?
No, 8D as in dogma.
8D is in Donna.
The light.
Any others? Anyone else? All right.
Would you mind reading the titles of the items?
Well, I'm looking at the consent calendar. I want to make sure I do that. Okay. Go ahead.
I can help while the chair gets it out. There are 4 consent items: the meeting minutes, the calendar for next year, an MOU with Napa Valley Transportation Authority, and then the item that was pulled is the contract for legal services. Yeah.
And I'd like to pull, that's a business item. 8D is it. So we need a motion for 8A, B, and C. 8,
I'll move it.
I'll second it.
second. All right.
All in
Please call
favor?
roll. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
All right, 8D.
Yes, thank you so much. 8D, page 19. Before I begin, I do want to, because this is about legal services, I do want to recognize our legal counsel, Bernadette Curry. A lot of respect, so this is not directly in regards to you as a person. It's a process questions that I have and some concerns the way that this is being presented to the board, that just some additional clarification and just dialogue with the board as well. And also congratulations on your upcoming retirement. That's what's mentioned in this item. So this item talks about having our legal counsel who will be retiring by December 31st. This is being brought into to the board as an opportunity for us to, it says we are to waive the bylaws to go straight into 3-year, is that correct? No, that's a different item. But it is to go straight into a 3-year contract with our legal counsel. And I think many of us sit on enough boards, and I recognize that legal counsel to the board or to any agency is a policy decision. So I feel like the way that this should have been presented to the board, it should have been for discussion and direction to recognize that we have a retiring member and that the contract is with the county. So it's county counsel with the county who provides the service. Is that correct? Yes. So it's really asking us to then not continue contracting the county counsel for this role, and then instead go directly to the member who currently serves in it for a 3-year contract. Yet nothing is being presented to the board for actual consideration of what that means. Not to say in any way that I don't believe that our current legal counsel would be an excellent choice. I'm just saying that it raised some concerns about how it's being presented, that we don't get an opportunity to discuss, and what does that actually mean for the board to not go through its process of what normally goes through when we disengage from the entity who is the legal firm that's providing service to then contracting directly with a separate entity. That's a problem, because the appropriate process is to go through an RFP process or to discuss with the board if we want to waive that process completely. Yet this is being presented to the board as a consent item for a 3-year contract without consideration of any of that discussion. And so I think it was a bit of an overreach to just present it in that way. And it also begs the question if we're ready to put in a 3-year contract without anything here to really have further discussion about what that would mean. So for me, I think I think continuing service maybe for a year as a transitional year, I think is an excellent opportunity for us to discuss. I think a 3-year contract or continuing for 3 years when we haven't even talked about what it means to discontinue with the county council as the entity. I think that's also important for us to discuss. We have sat on boards where there's been transition in the individual representing county council. Typically, what I have seen and observed is that the individual may change, but county council is still the body that's giving legal advice to that board. And so this is why this is a little off for me, and so it kind of raised some flags, some concerns about the process more than anything else. So that's really what I have, why I'm bringing it up.
Yeah, oh, go ahead.
And obviously, since I'm the one with the history on it, am I on? Yeah. I'll just clarify. My original service to Soltrans was under a contract between STA and Soltrans. And so at that point in time, STA was contracting with County Council for my services, and then STA then contracted with Soltrans, right? When Suzanne was brought on, Suzanne was originally brought on as part of a contract employee with STA and then brought over. And so at a point in time, it was determined that the entity was stood up. We had launched you onto your new role, new way of being. And at that point in time, Suzanne came over, and then it was determined that there would be a continuation of my services through the county council's office, not through STA. So we kind of bifurcated that one. So there's never been an RFP for legal services for this entity. I have been here from day one, and it just kind of flowed through the contract from STA and then directly to county council. And so again, you're totally fine. We're leaving the contract in place with county council. I can tell you right now, I don't have a person on staff that's ready to take it up. So that was the whole thing. The way that the contract was drafted is that it is at your termination at any point in time. There's not an obligation whatsoever for a 3-year deal. It was to put it out there until, if you're interested, if you're not, and that's totally fine. Totally happy to be retired. So, but this was just an offer to you. So I just want that context. There has never been an RFP for legal services.
And we'd be held in a lurch with no attorney services as she retires the end of this month. And then her contract with us would start December 1st. There's not time. So I was just concerned about being without counsel.
And I think, and so this is why I'm bringing it up, because I think that's the appropriate approach to present to the board. This is our situation. This is what's going to happen. This is what it could mean. And I need we need to discuss it and provide direction. Do we want to just continue, absolutely just go straight into it? Do we want to consider figuring out with the county or go through a different process? That's our prerogative. And so it really looked like, here's the decision already made, just sign it off. And so to be on the consent calendar gave that impression. And because, and it's important to protect, including our current legal counsel, of any perception that a conflict of interest of having the individual who's already seated there just by, get the contract to continue for that amount of time without discussion at the board. So part of me is, let's just be very clear of the process. Let's have a very clear discussion. Let's go ahead and give whatever direction we're going to give, and we avoid all of that very clearly. And so that's really why I pulled it.
And I do appreciate the comments. I think it's a well taken. I think one point we didn't make clear in the staff report is that there was an urgency to this. I think by the time staff learned of the pending retirement until today, there wasn't enough time to do a procurement. And it did really qualify as a sole source issue in the sense that of the nature of urgency that we really need, the board and Soltrans needed that continuity of legal services. Had we paused and gone out to bid, we would have lost that, and it would have been of detriment to the organization. So that would qualify as a sole source that does not require you to go out to bid. With that said, however, to Bernadette's point, if the board would like for us to facilitate a request for bid, as she mentioned, that the contract is not binding you to a specific term you could terminate at any point, that would allow staff the appropriate time to do a thorough procurement process. It wouldn't be rushed, and it wouldn't force us into a situation where we have this lag and this inability to get the new attorney up to speed. Because I will point out the other issue with the sole source is that Bernadette has a longstanding history a very intimate knowledge of all of our contracts from the inception of Soltrans, from the formation of Soltrans, that we would really need to, the board would need to weigh the risk of losing that if we were to go with someone else. So that is a decision of the board, but it is something that we could definitely consider if that's the direction that the board would like us to take.
Yes, I'm very happy with the work we've gotten out of Bernadette. I'd be happy to continue working with her. I don't know that we have to go out to bid, but I think Mayor Hernandez has a good point in terms of process. And I don't think that there was an actual contract applied or attached to this item. Unless I
That would
missed
be
it.
attachment A is the actual contract for
Is it there?
your review.
Oh, well, that's my fault.
That's the
then.
new contract that we were proposing.
If we were to put off action on this until next month, would we, and Bernadette retires in a week or 2 weeks, would we be able to utilize your services pending the approval of a contract, if that's the will of the board in a
My
month?
suggestion would be, then just do it for a month. I mean,
Yeah.
you're going to need, if you're
Right.
going to contract with me individually, I'm going to need a contract for that.
And we do or do not have a contract with the county,
You still have a contract with the county.
so we would need to,
Claims
abrogate that.
No, no. We've left the proposal was to leave it in place as backup should, sorry to use a bad phrase here in terms of this board, if I were to be hit by a bus, not a TransDev bus, right? Or if I were to win the lottery and to go away, right? I have worked it out with the incoming county council that there would be backup, God forbid something would happen. But the issue is that right now there's not somebody on staff as there was when, once I got promoted and needed to step away from one of my other clients, which was STA, I was able to bring another attorney along. We've kept that contract in place. That's on through, I believe it's 2028 as well. Your claims administration is still handled by the office and would be proposed to be handled by it. So there would be a relationship continuing with that.
But did you say that if we would continue it for a month, we would continue the contract with the county for a
No,
month?
the contract with the county is in place. So that's not being terminated. That is still in place. And so if you need additional services, you could reach out to county council and say, hey, could you have somebody come to a meeting? Could you assist with this? Do whatever. But I cannot continue on post November 30th with this agency without a contract. That's the issue.
So you suggest we could do a contract for 1 month and then review it? Or,
Yeah,
you know,
I would, actually, you don't have a meeting in December, so it would be, my suggestion would be through the January meeting. And then,
Okay.
and you could do a contract month to month. Again, I'm not dependent upon it. It's,
Sure.
Soltrans is my baby, right? And so to let the baby go, I was willing to say, hey, I can continue to work post-retirement for this particular entity, right? So, but again, I get your point, I understand. There's just never been an RFP for legal services
Right.
since, and the board's never asked for one. You've just continued to approve that contract.
Yeah, I believe the issue here is the process. And I think the process is to get it onto an action item where we can have the discussion about the contract. And I appreciate the fact that you're willing to do a month-to-month, because if we can do, can we, from a consent item, how do we move to develop a month-to-month contract? So I'll
Honey,
ask the
as your
lawyer
legal
who's gonna-
counsel, you can.
Yeah. Okay.
You have the ability, you pulled it from consent. I mean, it is an item, right? You have the ability to change whatever. And I'm just saying, I'm willing to do that. If you want to go, again, just a month and figure out something else in January, whatever you want to do.
Well, the suggestion, I think, would be to get this on the January, because we don't meet in December, the January agenda as a business item discussing the arrangements, whether it's a 1 year, 3 year,
I'd be happy to make that motion, but Mayor Source, I'll
Is it
defer to her.
by motion? Okay, by motion. So we have a motion.
Well, let's hear from Mayor
I would
first.
like to hear from
And
Mayor
everybody.
Source.
Did you second?
Yeah, no, she did. I just wanted to mention, so I appreciate the comments. I mean, I appreciate the points, and I will say that I can't remember if it was Beth and Bernadette or just Beth, did run it by the executive team to give us a heads up that they were bringing this forward, and we thought it was a good idea to bring before the board. I think the set of circumstances we're experiencing here are unique in that we have someone who has represented the board since its inception and who is currently representing the board, who has expressed that upon her retirement from the county doesn't have someone ready to provide services. And so we're in a position where we're continuing with our current council, but we're just changing how we're contracting with them. So I'm frankly comfortable with this as is, and I'm saying that as somebody who is always a proponent of going out to bid and doing things super transparently. But I think the situation Soltrans is in and the dynamics between Soltrans and STA, us keeping our current council and also us not having the same council as STA is actually valuable. Because right now, both the county council's office is providing legal counsel for both Soltrans and STA, and they've done a stellar job of handling that very professionally. But I think Soltrans would benefit from the continuity and the separation. And so I'm more than happy to revisit this in January, and I fully support keeping Bernadette on as legal counsel. I think it's very, like, to Suzanne's point, it's a unique enough situation where the value is clear. I think, at least for the medium term, for us to keep this on, and then we can work to develop, a plan going forward beyond that, because, Bernadette does want to retire eventually, and I do appreciate her willingness to stay on, given that the current setup we wouldn't have been able to continue with.
Mayor Hernandez?
Yes, so I didn't pull this item to figure out if we're going to stay with Bernadette or not. That wasn't my intent. So just once again, I'm like, believe me, as I've heard Bernadette try to explain just how Soltrans came to be, it is extremely complex. I don't think anybody else can do that and do justice to it, okay, just to recognize it. For me, it was more about, like, it's as we've talked about, this agency is growing. It has to have the appropriate processes in place as we move forward. My recommendation was, because it's a transitional time, that we just go ahead and approve at least a minimum of a year as we think through and have further discussions for the continuity of it because of the expertise. And at that point, we can see, like, if the board wishes to consider a bid opportunity, it goes through that. If not, we continue on. When it comes to the year, it has the extension of 2. I would recommend the 2 or the 3 at that point for continuity. For me, it was more about, let's have this discussion in public. Let's go ahead and say we recognize the value of our legal counsel, and I believe strongly that we need to continue to have legal counsel continue with this board because of how complex, especially this upcoming year, will be as a transitional year. I think the process for me, I recommend a year to just let's get it going, get it fast, but let's have a very clear continuous point before we have further discussion and try to figure out that piece for the long term is my recommendation.
So I'll withdraw my motion if you want to make that motion.
There wasn't a second on it.
Oh, that's true. So you want to?
Thank you so much. I appreciate this. I thank you for pulling. I definitely understand about the process. We had something happen last night, and because we do definitely love children, but because it wasn't done in a way that one can challenge us and make us look like we're not following procedures. So I definitely understand why you pull it, and I appreciate it. I definitely see the value of our attorney, even, pulling us. I like when someone is knowledge not only in the institution it represents, but also with elected officials. See, that's important to me, because sometimes we can have somebody so knowledge that they forget how to communicate to us electeds. And I had a situation where I needed that skill, And so I really appreciate how that was handled. And sometimes when you're out there vetting and looking for people, that's one thing will stop us is if they're not connected to not only the organizations and all its entity, but also working with council, with the elected officials. So I'm excited about her wanting to stay with us. I just want to make sure it's just with us. That was my concern. So I like it as is, but if you have a deeper concern for the 1 year, I'm not opposed, but I just want to make sure that we don't have her sitting on ease by the time we get there, you know what I mean? So we can revisit it in 6 months and see if we like it, and then we can continue it on to her original ask, if you don't mind me making that amendment.
Yeah, absolutely. It's welcomed.
Thank you.
So, since,
Do you have a motion?
so I'm calling for a motion. Is there a motion on the table for
Yeah, for the 1 year,
1 year,
revisit in 6 months.
revisit in 6 months? Is there a second?
So I'll second that, just to clarify that we would be contracting for a year
Yeah.
and then
Yes.
re-agendizing. Yeah, I'll second that gladly.
All right, please call the roll.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you.
Motion passes unanimously.
All right. So we're moving on to item on the regular calendar now. Action item 9A is the selection of 2026 officers for the Soltrans Board. Toss it over to our newly minted one-year.
Let me see if I know your bylaws. Sorry, a joke. Yes, so before you, this is the one that Mayor Hernandez was talking about in terms of the waiver. Your bylaws do have a procedure, but they're your bylaws. They can be waived at any given Thursday that you meet. It's totally within your purview. So this is a policy discussion for your board as to determine the selection of the officers for next year.
Go ahead.
Well, historically, we have, the chair has moved back and forth between the mayor of Benicia and the mayor of Vallejo. We not always. We had Councilman Largaspada was the chair one time. But since Chair Scott has been appointed as the chair, he has gotten into this at a level of commitment and detail that is way beyond any other chair that I've worked with in the 8 years that I've been on this board. And there's a lot of work yet to do, a lot of details, and his willingness to get in and work at a very basic and intense level is something that I think we ought to recognize, and I think we would be well suited to ask him to continue for another term.
Well, of course, I would be honored to continue on if so voted. I appreciate the opportunity to be helping to make this team make a difference and provide a voice. And again, as I noted, it would be my honor to continue on as long as you are staying on.
We have a request system that
And, excuse me, Councilmember Gordon?
Yes, I think it's appropriate since I had not had a chance to work with you, and I just got a chance to see you from afar as a PAC chair and as an advocate. I think one more time working with you another year, hoping that you could get me ready for one day sitting where you're sitting. I think it would be an honor to continue that on because we haven't sat with you. You know what I mean? We just sat down, and so I think it would be an honor. I think you're doing a great job, and I like how you communicate with us and reach out to us when there's a concern. And I think given that, working with you would be a great honor.
Thank you. So I'll be calling for a motion.
Yeah, I support it. I'll move it.
I'll second.
All right.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Yeah.
Motion passes unanimously.
Well, thank
Can I
you.
say something right through the chair?
Please.
Well, I mean, my goodness, you just had heart surgery on this day, and you got and you got a whole bunch of hearts in the room saying how much we appreciate you.
Today is, as you point out, the 1-year anniversary of them ripping out my heart and turning it around, spinning and doing some stuff, and I'm putting it back in my chest. And I have learned the value of living life, and I've learned the value of partnering, and I've learned the value of ensuring that no one goes unrepresented. Because even that tiny voice represents someone's needs. And it's changed my way of looking at things and problem solving. So thank you for recognizing that. And I'm going to go home probably tonight and eat the worst thing that I can eat, like pizza. Okay, I'm not allowed to eat pizza. Tonight is going to be a pizza night. So thank you all for your trust in me, and I look forward to a strong year where Soltrans and all of our affiliates in the situation, in the sense of STA and TransDev and all of the folks that we deal with, work together more efficiently and effectively towards moving people from point A to point B who really need to get there. And, you know, maybe I am channeling Jim Spearing, but that is our most important job. And so I take that very seriously. So thank you all. So now I move over to, do we have any public comment on this?
No comment at this time, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you.
Vice Mayor, we'd like to do the same, right?
I'm sorry.
Is the Vice Mayor up?
Vice Mayor?
We'd like to keep the same Vice Mayor? Because,
Chair.
yeah, I think it'd be great, because we haven't worked with everybody.
I look forward to working with the birthday girl. Thank you. All right, so we're going to move on to non-action informational items. The next item is 10A, fiscal year 2025-26, operating revenue expenses through September 30th, 2025. Christina?
I'm over here on Zoom.
Oh, I don't see you.
I'm
Okay.
on video tonight.
There you are.
No, I'm out of town, so I'm presenting to you from here. I wanted to just give you the quarterly budget update for Q1. Where operating expenses are under budget by about $200,000. Keep in mind the first quarter expenses are always a little more than other quarters. It's kind of the timing of the budget. So we expect we're hoping to keep the numbers under budget and even farther under budget in future quarters. Primarily, our savings have been in our contracted transit services. We've continued to hit our contract with liquidated damages, but it's much less than what we were doing last year. So things are still trending in a good direction. Fuel expenses were lower than expected as well. Everything else was pretty minor. The operating revenue is less than projected by about $75,000. We had high hopes that we'd collect more revenue with ridership going up. The good news is fare revenue is higher than last year's Q1 by $75,000. Some of that's increased ridership, but a whole lot of that is being able to actually collect fares and our diligence in taking buses out of service where Clipper equipment's not working, et cetera. So we're hoping that number continues to rise as the year goes on. Grant revenue, you'll notice that we have no net income or loss because grant revenue was evened out to ensure that we were fully covered on expenses. We actually have more grant revenue available to us than we needed. We just booked what we needed, but there is other additional funding available this year that's already been programmed for the year if we were to need it. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions, but there's nothing of concern. It's all pretty standard for us right now.
Thank you, Christina. I do have a question on, there's a statement in the staff report where we talk about reminding riders to pay their fare. That's an interesting structure of the sentence, reminding riders to pay their fare. Is there anything that we can do to be more forceful than reminding people? And how many
I may
do
have
we
to
think
defer.
might be?
Yeah.
Sorry?
I would say I may have to defer to operations staff on that. I know in the past, sometimes drivers were just silent. And we've told drivers, you've really got to remind people there is a fare. They need to pay their fare, what the fare is. But we also don't want our drivers to have to engage with riders and have a escalation, of a situation. So I would have to defer to ops on if there was anything else they can do for enforcement of fares.
And do we have any idea how big or small this problem is with the reminder?
No, we
I
can't.
don't know. Again, I'd have to ask operations.
Yeah, we don't know at this time, but we've put together several strategies to address this. So on the fare box themselves, they have a sticker that says pay your fare. Then on the monitors on the bus have also reminders going through it. With your fare, we could provide more rides, more trips, more operators, that type of thing. And apparently it seems to be working. I don't think we have any issues lately. And Mandy, did you want to chime in?
No, I was just going to reiterate that we have a marketing campaign that's reminding riders that to have clean buses, to have more service, to have more opportunities for the bus to come, that's what that fare is going towards. So there is a marketing and an educational piece that's alongside with the pay your fare sticker, just on a softer side. It says pay your fare, show you care, pay your fare, it's paying for service, it's paying for buses, it's paying for your operations team to get you where you need to go.
Thank you. I'm not looking for any kind of engagement between the driver and the passenger. I'm not trying to put anybody at harm, just looking for ways to, we saw in the executive director's report where ridership is really popping up, yet our revenue is declining. So there's got to be a reason, and we've heard some, and collecting revenue is the most important thing. And not the most important thing, but it's important for us to close maybe a bit of that revenue gap. So thank you. Are there any other board of directors who'd like to make a comment? Mayor Young?
Christina, what's the status of our issue with the MTC and the use of or the difficulty using the passes, the Clipper card passes? There's a lot of money still outstanding, and we were supposed to provide some data. Is it still on us to provide data to MTC in order to get reimbursement on this?
Yeah, where we left off with that was we've been doing a deeper dive on the data to parse out what we could quantify, and we have data to back it up, as opposed to what other estimates we have based on average fare revenue collections prior to the new Clipper equipment being installed. BC and I have been working on that, putting a report together that we are going to submit a memo to Mitch Mashburn as our commissioner to see if he can tackle it from that direction. We're not sure we want to go forward right now with directly to MTC. They already know there's an issue. They've already said there is no more money to reimburse agencies for this loss. So we thought maybe going through Mitch, I think that was my understanding from the last board meeting, that was the tactic we were going to take. We're also waiting to see, once C2 goes live, fingers crossed in December, we'll have a whole new set of reports. We'll have a lot more insight into the data that might help us really drill down onto what the issues are.
It's surprising to hear MTC say they don't have any money. They have a lot of money.
Yeah,
and
I know.
Are we working with staff so that we know that we are going to provide them with the kind of data that they can work with? And But then, and
at
obviously.
MTC.
Yeah. I mean, do we know what they want as opposed to what we're
They
just?
have all the same data we have. The problem is for us, it takes a great deal of time for us to go through this, and we don't have the staff. It is really the issue to be monitoring this on a regular basis. Whereas, MTC and Cubic, they have dedicated staff who are very well aware of some of these issues, and it's just not high on their priority list because they've got bigger, problems than what they would probably consider our small amount of revenue loss.
But it's not a
So-
small amount to us. What kind of
It's
money?
not a
is it?
small amount to us, though. I think that the loss is narrowing. I don't think it's as bad, and maybe that's the next step. BC and I can do is look at our losses and trend them to see if the loss is getting better. With fair revenue being up this last quarter versus last year, I'm hopeful we're trending in the right direction there.
And this was a hardware problem with the Clipper machines themselves. Did they actually
Correct.
record how many times people tried to use them and never got their card charged?
We actually have been working with, there's a consultant that works with the Napa Solano group because we're still under the Clipper One rules where we were considered a group, which means all of our data is commingled with Vacaville and Fairfield and Napa. So this consultant parses out the data for everybody, and because they have all the raw data, we've asked them, that's what we've been doing, has been asking them to run various queries so they could tell us, how many times did people try to tap and didn't get charged, how many times were they charged the wrong fare, et cetera. So that's what we've been trying to parse through. It's just been very time consuming with all the other things we have going on.
So do we have a rough estimate of what we think the number is?
I believe so, and unfortunately I don't have that off the top of my head. When we complete this memo, we could bring it, back to the
Maybe in
whole-
January, you can come back with another, update.
Yeah,
as to where
sure.
we are.
Yeah, we'll give you an update in January. That's perfect.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Manny, would you see public comment?
Thank you, Chair. No members of the public signed up for comment on this item.
All right, well, thank you all. We'll move on to item 10B, comprehensive operational analysis. Update from Ms. Renshaw.
Thank you, Chair, members of the board. Today I'll be sharing with you a brief recap of the COA service concepts approved by you all in September, and then share progress, some information, some major milestones and highlights that just lead us to our next steps in implementing the service changes that come in August 2026. Okay, all the local and express service will, the concepts include, just an overall summary, is that all the local and Solano Express service will have consistent all-day service on weekdays, and then service will be aligned at the Vallejo Transit Center so that it pulses out together and that our riders have a seamless transfer between all local and express at the top of the hour. And then one of the biggest improvements is that the local service will see an increase on service on Sundays by 51%. And then I also want to address some recent pushback that we received from our partners at STA and the Solano Express funding partners regarding the idea that the COA proposals shift service away from Vacaville and Dixon and add more service to Vallejo. This is a mischaracterization of the COA concepts, the actual service improvements. In reality, 3 of the stops that see the most significant benefits under the COA Solano Express concepts are Solano Community College, the Vacaville Transportation Center, and Benicia Park and Ride. And on this presentation, you can't see Benicia Park and Ride, but that's 42% increase of service, 70% for Vacaville and 50% for Solano Community College. That's the Fairfield campus. These improvements are directly enhanced for riders throughout the county, so not just Vallejo, and they represent a balanced and data-driven investment in the areas where the data and the public comment show the strongest demand and the greatest potential for ridership growth. So just reminding again that the narrative that
all the investment of the COA was going to Vallejo and increasing only Vallejo service is not true. We've balanced out. This table shows all the routes and all the stops along the route and how many times the bus stops at those stops within the county and how they're being improved with the COA concepts. And then I just wanted to bring back to you the analysis that we did that improved service for Dixon and Davis. One of the biggest concepts and the biggest challenges with the COA was that Davis service and discontinuing it to reinvest it in the service within the county. So last month, or excuse me, September, we brought to the board a cost analysis of what it would take to improve that service and keep Davis service a quality hourly service that expands beyond Dixon to Davis, and that was a $600,000 annual investment. The service we operate today that goes to Davis is not meeting riders' needs. It's twice in the morning, twice in the evening. The ridership is extremely low, and the travel time is very long and unreliable along that 80 corridor where it's very congested. And the alignment places really a lot of operational strain on both the blue and the yellow line. Remember, those are interlined at Walnut Creek BART because we have to bring operators in for breaks and pull buses back into our yard because we don't have a North County property. So we think the Davis connection is important, but without the necessary funding, we cannot deliver that service with the existing budget. But we do agree that there is a potential market. But however, given the fiscal cliffs that we've recently learned about for the Solano Express service, any service to Davis would need to begin as a pilot so that we can evaluate the performance and the sustainability before making a long-term commitment. And so internally, we've been talking, and I know that the STA board has talked about options for funding the service or how to fund or what kind of service to do. So here are some few things that we have heard or have talked about that a pilot service could include the rerouting of the van pool that currently exists that goes to Sacramento and having it go through Davis. We don't know how much that would cost or how that service, adding that service would cost. Or from the previous slide, extending the blue line to Davis through Dixon, and that annual cost is $600,000 annually. Some of the options for finding that funding or reallocating that funding could include discontinuing the Guaranteed Ride Home program, as Soltrans' missed trips for the Solano Express has fallen below 1% monthly, and increased service for the COA could provide more reliable backups. That money could be reallocated to providing either the van pool or extending the blue line. Discontinuing the funding for the Sacramento van pool and just reinvesting it in the Davis service completely. Or reducing or eliminating the ridership survey and reallocating those funds for making a Davis connection. So just what we're showing is there are some options for providing the service. We're still happy to talk about providing that service and how it could be done, but wanted to bring to you some options and opportunities. Okay, well, what are we doing internally? We've been working behind the scenes on the system redesign and redoing our service area, and this redesign is system-wide, and it affects over 90% of our bus stops. While a current bus stop says it's Route 5, and Route 5's discontinuing that service is now becoming a Route 4 stop. So almost all of our bus stops are going to need to be updated with this service change. And so the planning department is finalizing route design and building in our technologies and our system software, our planning software, the new system, and then the marketing department is developing a marketing plan and working with our community partners to take advantage of events that are happening next spring and summer so that when we have a captive audience, we can let them know that these changes are coming. And then also scheduling our own events to make sure that all the riders are aware of this major service change come next August. And then the department that's really carrying the majority of the work currently is our general service department, and they are auditing our current bus stops. They're evaluating and repurposing amenities at bus stops that are being discontinued or changing their routing. And then they're also working on a procurement process for all the new amenities that we need, because we also are adding about 100 new bus stops to our service area. And finally, next slide, please. They are working with MTC and the Regional Mapping and Wayfinding Project, because so many of our bus stops are going to be affected by this redesign, and we're going to have to print and redo bus stops. We have a really unique and awesome opportunity to collaborate with MTC and the Regional Mapping and Wayfinding Project. Soltrans staff has been a part of this initiative since its inception. The new regional signage standards will be released in January 2026, making it perfect timing for Soltrans to be amongst one of the first barrier agencies to adopt the standards for all bus stops agency-wide. Since this redesign requires so much of our signage to be updated, we can adopt the new standard and have the help of MTC, their assistance and their support. We've already met multiple times with MTC about this opportunity, and Gordon Hansen, who is on the Regional Mapping and Wayfinding Project team, is here via Zoom, should you have any questions. But he will be returning in January to talk about this unique opportunity and present to you all the work that they've been doing on the MTC-wide to establish this regional standard that is really going to change how people interact and use wayfinding and signage. And I'm very excited to have, I've been very excited and very happy to be on the Regional Mapping and Wayfinding Project team, but I'm very excited that this works out so perfectly for Soltrans and that we can adopt this new standard that is going to change how people access transit and how they read transit, and that it's going to be a standard region-wide. So if you are in San Francisco and you're reading a bus stop, and you come to Vallejo, the same bus stop, the same information is being shared the same way. We're using the same language, we're using the same colors. It is very exciting, and I'm so honored to partner with them. And maybe I planned the COA so that we could do this, I don't know. But it's very exciting, and I've just loved working with MTC and the region on this project. Okay, next slide, please. Today, actually, GSRMA, which stands for Golden State Risk Management Authority, which is a government risk pool that provides risk management and insurance programs for California public agencies like us, released their spotlight, which highlighted our COA. I believe you all received an email from Suzanne this afternoon. And how our COA strengthens Soltrans' ability to manage fiscal and operational risk by matching service levels to realistic funding and ridership goals. The COA was accepted by GSRMA under their risk control section for the fiscal year 24-25 Risk Management Accreditation Program. It is a very comprehensive loss experience exposure plan, LEAP, and we were awarded 20 points, which increased doubled our monetary credit back. So we received credit back on our insurance premium from 5% to 10% because of the COA. Our GSRMA representative stated that they have rarely, if ever, seen such a comprehensive and detailed LEAP, and they continue to share the idea with transit agencies within the risk pool as inspiration. So what we're doing for the community and changing the service and increasing frequency is huge, but what we're doing as an agency and protecting the agency is being highlighted and used as a spotlight for our sister agencies is a positive that I did not see come out of the COA, or I did not foresee. So very honored to have that. If you haven't read that article, it beautifully states what the COA is, but how it helped the agency. All right, next steps. We have already done a lot of work in preparation for the implementation, but there's a lot of work to do behind the scenes before we begin our public outreach, and staff is still working with Jarrett Walker and Associates on schedules and system design in all of our technologies, and we're going to continue to work with MTC with the Regional Mapping and Wayfinding Project, and we will come back to the board with our marketing plan in early and more updates in early 2026. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Well, thank you. I'll just make one brief comment, and then I'll toss it on to everybody's light. Can you go back to slide 33? Thank you. Oop. All right, this is going to be a test of my new prescriptions. There we go. All right. So first off, I want to thank the staff for all the continued effort with all the noise that is going around with the COA to move towards our mission of fulfilling our principal obligations of, again, moving people in the most efficient and effective way that we possibly can as we look forward or we look at the possibility of a fiscal cliff. And I am extremely pleased to see that we were highlighted by GSRMA, you can't even pronounce that other than by the letters, as being something that we talk about for our mission. And I want to read that last paragraph in the bottom there. It says, the COA was developed in response to shifting ridership habits and growing fiscal pressures facing transit agencies across California. Like many public entities, Soltrans needed to adapt to new travel behaviors while managing limited resources responsibly. That is a perfect statement in summary of everything that we are trying to do. And I applaud the fact that we are moving forward. The COA will be implemented. And I'm hoping that our partners at STA will join hands with us as we continue the march towards providing efficient service for Vacaville, increased service to Vacaville. They've got the majority of the increased service. And recognize that if Dixon and Davis and Sacramento are that important to the way that we are going to need to move people, that they will join with us, or they can develop themselves a plan that will be efficient and effective, and we will be happy to join with them in finding ways to make it work for all of us. So again, thank you to all the people over here and all the people behind us and in front of us, etc., to ensure that what we started a year and a half ago in rough and tough 7 months is going to be moving forward. And so with that, I'll bring it over to Commissioner Gordon.
Thank you so much. I appreciate this report. And I'd like to hear from Gordon Henson. As he know, him and I have been working on this. And so I'd like to say thank you to him, but see if he wants to share anything. And did you say he's online, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Yes, we
can
can
you all
hear you,
hear me
Gordon.
all right? I guess you think. Oh, thanks so much. Appreciate it. Yeah, no, I think, thank you so much, Board Member Gordon. We really appreciate your participation in the Project Accessibility Working Group. I think the one thing that I would say at this point is that really just want to reinforce the partnership with Soltrans, with Mandy and BC and the whole team. They have been extremely helpful in the development of our new regional bus stop flag design, which, as you can imagine, is an ambitious undertaking with almost 20 agencies providing bus services across the Bay Area. Trying to find one design that will work for all in a variety of conditions is a pretty wonderful opportunity, to be honest with you. And I think it's going to really have a big difference when we have the opportunity to expand into Soltrans service area with the new design next year. So really excited to come back and share more details with you soon. And we'll continue to work with Mandy and the team to make this as best as we can for the initial implementation.
Yes, for me, I want to say thank you because I got a chance to really see the team work with individuals with disability. I mean, from every walk of life you can think of. My son Christopher is also, he participated, sharing ways that they typically had to improvise to utilize services, and from using your devices and having it read out loud to you, or the challenges is their phone dying, and you can't use those resources. So to also go out to, a lot of us went either with Gordon, with MTC, or we went on our own and found what was working and what wasn't working. So I had asked prior to, can we consider, Vallejo, because that's like one of our hub, right? And so I thank him for working with us. But I'm actually online hearing individuals from, like I said, from every walk of life, from hearing impairment, vision impairment, to just complications sometimes, no matter what that look like. And we picked these colors. And so I can confirm that this team really did want to hear from the people. And I just want to say thank you to you, Gordon, and your team for being committed and dedicated. And I get to say, yes, this team did really work with us. And I think we meet for a couple of hours. And so not only do we get it to us, but we also dive deep into it, and we're still working on it, right? We're still working on some ideas. So I just want to say thank you again, and kudos to you all.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Council member, Mayor Hernandez?
Yes, thank you. I echo the sentiments that have already been shared. It's been such a robust effort, but with a very grassroots level of outreach. We're preparing for, there's some of us that are assigned to a subcommittee, as some of you know, still regarding that blue line and potentially green line conversations. And as I prepare and study for it, I've reached out and I've talked to our executive director on well, if this happens, what does that mean? And if this happens, what does that mean? And there's decisions that are very interwoven that I hadn't realized until I'm having those conversations. So I think for the benefit of the board, I had asked a specific question so what happens if that committee makes a recommendation to the STA board to take away the blue line? What does that happen? Can you help us understand what would that mean, because not everyone will be in those meetings, so I just want us to make sure that if there's questions coming up or other commentary, that those of us who will be in that subcommittee hear from the rest of the board, because we won't have an opportunity to speak again between now and then.
So your question is, if the blue line was discontinued completely, what would that look like? Benicia would see a discontinuation of service out of the Benicia Park and Ride Hub. Fairfield would have no access north of Fairfield to Vacaville, to Dixon. There would be no public transit connection north of Fairfield. And then vice versa, Vacaville would not have any connection south to Fairfield. That in our public comment period, that actually was the most requested service, was that connection between Vacaville and Fairfield. Vacaville would not have a public transit connection from Vacaville to Dixon. The service on the red line would continue, so Fairfield would continue to have a connection southbound, but Fairfield would not have a connection to Benicia and southbound to Walnut Creek, Concord, because of the implementation of that connection. The research that we did, the survey from Replica, showed that 3 times the amount of people in the northern part of the county, Fairfield, Vacaville, Dixon, their travel patterns were connecting to Concord and the North Contra Costa County area. So that public transit connection would no longer exist. There are some reverse commuters that live in Contra Costa County that are commuting to Vacaville, Fairfield. That access would be discontinued as well. So really that 680 corridor and that connectivity on the northern part of the 80 corridor, there, would cut off a lot of access.
And then can you talk a little bit about if there's a scheduled, because there would be a scheduled change to the blue line, what would it affect? What else would it affect? Would it affect another line? And
Yes.
Because we probably won't hear this at STA until January, and so just to see the timing of what that means.
Sure. So I said earlier in my presentation, the blue and yellow line it really is one line. It's Vacaville to North Concord and Concord BART with the implementation of the COA, and then the blue line the yellow line becomes the blue line. So any route, the blue line, we have no ability to trade out operators, trade out vehicles without that connectivity on the yellow line. So if we're pulling in an operator, they're interlined. So if we change the schedule, or the blue line is to remain as it is today, and the yellow line is adopted to the COA concepts. We have no way of breaking operators, giving them their lunch breaks, their operations breaks. But more importantly, we have no way of pulling in a bus. We don't have a yard in any part of the northern part of Solano County. So, and we're limited with our CNG buses, and even more with our electric buses, with the mileage that they can do within a block. So buses need to be pulled in to be charged or to be refueled, and the yellow line gives us the opportunity to do that. If we don't, then we're deadheading to Dixon, we're deadheading to Vacaville, and we're wasting fuel and mileage on non-revenue service. So it's a balance, but it's also utilizing our resources better by having the yellow line in revenue service go from Vallejo to Benicia. We have an opportunity to provide a connectivity and then connect it with the blue line. If we don't have those two interlined, then we are wasting resources having a bus not in service, just heading up 80 corridor to then go into service at its starting point, which would be Vacaville.
Thank you. That was very insightful. The moment that the yellow line was being mentioned to me and the effects by a decision somewhere else, that no one in that area, we had not even talked about the yellow line, so to have a direct link, so just so that we're all aware of that as well. Thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to follow up on the discussion of the blue line. It would be possible, however, to amend or change the blue line so that we did not provide service north of Vacaville. We could still maintain service from Vacaville down and to the Benicia Bus Hub and to the BART in Concord. I mean,
Sure,
that is an option.
on the blue line, yes, we could do that.
The number you gave of about 600,000, I think, was the cost of the entire operation of the blue line, or just this part that goes to Davis and
The 600,000 is the two extra vehicles we need to extend the blue line up to Davis, so that you have that continuation, a one-seat ride all the way to Concord BART. But the full budget is on there. I think it's 2-point-something million annual.
half,
That's just
about.
for the blue line.
And if we were to stop that portion of it, that would save the 600,000, or we haven't done that analysis yet.
If we,
If we just stopped service north of Vacaville and just kept the blue line
that is that
running south,
$1.9 million
$1 million,
annual
that
service,
would
yeah.
save $1 million.
The service is consistent, hourly service between Vacaville and Concord, but there will be two trips between Vacaville and Dixon in the AM and the PM, like it is today.
And one of the things that came up during the STA discussions, which I think was legitimate, had to do with where we are going in Davis, and the fact that not a lot of people want to go to Mondavi Center, and that might explain part of our low ridership, and that we'd be a lot more efficient, or maybe not efficient, but we would be more attractive to more riders if we went closer to the campus. So I think it would be helpful for this board to have an understanding of what that would take, both in dollars and extra time, because one of the things I heard as well, it's more difficult, it takes more time to get there. But that shouldn't be our motivating decision-making per point. So I would like to see that going forward. The other thing I asked was about the decision to go to Concord versus Walnut Creek. When this board approved that, when would that switch take place?
In August. All the concepts that were approved for the COA will go live in August 2026.
Okay. And then the last thing I was going to say is the article that I read of the GSRMA. I loved it, and then I saw that you wrote it.
Thank you.
And so it was like, well, it would have been better had it been a third party. It seemed a little bit self-congratulatory. I was going to send it out to all the STA board members, look at all the great things, like, oh, well, you wrote it yourself. So it takes a little bit away from the...
I answered the questions. They took my answers and wrote the article. I just answered their questions.
Oh, you didn't write the article?
I did not write the article. I just answered the questions.
So, it may be worth sort of pointing out that distinction.
Sure.
Because it sort of comes off as, we wrote it.
I'm
This
just
is sort of
gloating.
self-congratulatory.
I do love that, but that was not me, yes.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Which is a thing in these types of spaces. Like, there are definitely agencies that pay for their own propaganda to be put out. So I was going to comment on that as well. I think, with the thoughtfulness with which Soltrans has taken the impending fiscal cliff and the COA, we've had this discussion many times. I'm going to thank you again for just the whole shepherding of this entire process and how you've handled the public engagement and really kind of honestly grappling with the trade-offs, specifically Mandy and also just the Beth and the whole team. And, at the last STA meeting, I actually, it was 2 STA meetings ago, I had some pointed words about this sudden mention of a fiscal cliff, having not mentioned it for 6 months. And I think that I just forgot the acronym from the insurance agency, but I mean the external recognition, to Mayor Young's point, of how these COA concepts directly address the fiscal cliff, just the level of thoughtfulness and data that was put into this, I don't think that has ever really been communicated by STA. And I've been very frustrated, and I've been expressing my frustration. And my hope is that through our subcommittee, we can cut through some of that, cut through some of what feels like, a cherry picking or sort of manipulation of information, and just have an honest conversation about, do we want to spend another $600,000 to go to Davis? Do we want to pilot that? Do we want to see how it goes and then go from there? Do we want to, pull the blue line? And I'll say to the Soltrans team, this has been one of the most frustrating and inefficient processes, trying to ping pong back and forth, but Soltrans has given every piece of information that has been requested. You all have provided rapidly. Every analysis that has been requested, you've provided it. It's clear. It's really easy to understand. It's very objective. I just want to appreciate that and thank you all for that, because that's really helpful as we go into these ongoing conversations, to be able to say that analysis of which cities are gaining and losing stops, the analysis of the fiscal situation and the data about North County riders going to Concord. I mean, these are things that, when the first comments came back on the COA, it was just like, we oppose this, we oppose this, we oppose this, we oppose this. Like, there was a lot of thought and data that was put behind each one of these recommendations that are informed by the opinions of people in South County and in North County. And so, again, that, Mayor Hernandez and I are both preparing to really try to make those points and sit down and advocate for the work that you all have done, but also just figure out who do we want to be and what do we want to do going forward as a county, and what does this look like in a way that doesn't disrupt Soltrans' ability to do its work. Because that's been my biggest concern this whole time, is that the slow rolling on the STA side, our lack of ability to have made a decision on this has pushed Soltrans, pushed us to have to approve the COA without STA having weighed in and all that. And that's my priority, is making sure that Soltrans' ability to implement the COA doesn't get disrupted on the stuff that we can control. And my hope is that the data and the objectivity and the analysis that you all have provided will allow us to have a really honest discussion and make clear decisions so we can all move forward together. So it's a thank you, and it's a commitment on my part to do what I can to get us out of this in those conversations, along with Mayor Hernandez.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I sincerely appreciate that commitment, because I think what you've seen over the last 18 months or so is a focus on moving forward, an understanding of what our principal mission is, our willingness to partner, and our desire to partner. The thing that Mayor Young was talking about is in asking about piloting, or you talking about piloting, and the mayor talking about how can we get service to Davis and Sacramento. There are modules that can be added to this. This is not it, and that's it. We've created a living document, a living process that gives us the long-term ability to understand how we are delivering our riders, how we are going to be able to afford to deliver our service, and we're enjoining with hopefully other communities to partner with us and step up, and including MTC. So this has a good feel. We're 6 months away, 9 months away. But it's moving and it's catching momentum. And, you know, with the wayfinding that we saw, there's something tangible. We're starting to see the realities of all this hard work, and I hope we're able to stay the course. And Councilmember?
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate the work. I just want to make sure that we're campaigning regarding within Vallejo the changes that's taking place, making sure that our community are well connected to what's going to be taking place in August, so it's not really a shock. So we can really just dive deep in it as we, the board, can support finding ways to create a campaign that is clear, especially in the north of Vallejo as well. Thank you.
Okay, Manny, is there anyone wishing to make public comment?
Thank you, Chair. No members of the public have signed up for this item.
Okay, then this is an informational item, so no action needs to be taken. We'll now move over to the non-discussion items. This will be the legislative report. A non-discussion item with the report included in your agenda packet. Does anyone wish to pull this item? Make comment on it.
Yeah, so.
Obviously you do.
Sorry?
You do.
There is a issue going on in
Microphone, I'm sorry.
There's an issue going on in Benicia regarding our ability to access funds from the Bay Area Air District. And we are organizing a campaign, a public outreach effort to try to influence the board. Part of that will culminate in a meeting on January 7th in San Francisco. And the ask of Soltrans is whether or not we can use or lease or charter a bus on that date to take people from Benicia to San Francisco and back. And you know, we're willing to pay for it, but we just
unfortunately, the FTA rules don't allow us to compete with charter companies. So you would have to get someone that not a government agency.
I was just going to say track Michael's transportation.
Okay.
They'll be able to do it.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Any?
Can you repeat that, please, Chair? Just your mic was off.
We'll now recess into into closed session, excuse me.
Do the light on.
There won't be a report coming out of the closed session, so you can enjoy the rest of the evening. Have a
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Thank you.